Hello and welcome. I am Scriberlock, and this is City of Heroes. We are playing Liberty Lass, our level 33 brute, who has 84,000 XP to go to get to level 34. I unfortunately forgot to turn off XP for part of the day yesterday when I was doing some of the flashback missions, but then I turned it off, and I got to put it back on actually. So now we're back to earning XP. And yeah, so we earned actually a bunch. But in any case, that should be all right because we've done several story arcs already at this level. It's not quite as crucial as it is in the earlier levels because it takes so many XP to level up. And now we have a story arc from Allison King, and I think Jenny Firkins is the last other contact at the 30 to 35 range, so we should be fine. We'll early in 34, we will finish Allison King's story arc. If we're going to pick it up right now, maybe get 2-3 beats in 34, and then Jenny Firkins take us through the rest of most of the rest of 34, and then we can go to 35. We've got some reward merits. I didn't earn a lot. I went on a couple of just 1 or 2 part missions and then a short story arc with the Sky Raiders from the level 20 to 25 range, and we have 544 merits. So another 56 merits will get us to our first archetype set. Speaking of that, I want to talk about enhancements, but let's take our Library for Lost Souls first mission where we want to rescue this guy Torvald from the Circle. I put us back to level +1. That may be a bit of a struggle with the Circle of Thorns because of the guys that debuff you, but we're getting to a high enough level we might be sort of switching over to the Air Thorn and Fire Thorn casters and kind of getting away from the ghosts all the time. So, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. We do have 3 accuracy inspirations, and hopefully that'll be enough. And we're going to head to Bricktown and do our first mission. So a couple of things that I wanted to address. Oh, I can't. I wrote a couple of these down actually. I can't remember who it was. Somebody asked me, "Why are you stopping at level 50?" I don't know if I've addressed this. Maybe I have already. Why am I stopping at level 50? There's so much more to do. The game keeps going. You don't have to stop at 50. Well, you do if you want to play another character, right? I'm not gonna, as you guys will see, we're already deep into season 3. There's going to be another season when we get to the 40s, and when we add it all up, it's going to be probably something like 60 or 70 episodes that I will have done with this character, which is fine, but several people have said they want to see how I play a range character, and my plan is to do a Dominator next, so, I can't make more than 1 episode-ish a day. I mean, it's just, I don't have time for that. And so, yeah, at some point I have to stop and switch over, you know. And these guys also make it hard to hit, so we may need to actually leave this mission and get more yellow inspirations. Not sure. We'll just see how it goes. Hopefully, we'll do all right. We have 18% fire resistance, so we're not super vulnerable to it, but we don't have tons of resistance to it either. And yes, there is a Firethorn caster right there. See if we can stun this guy. The more we can stun him and his ilk, the less they can debuff us, right? And one of the really good benefits of this power set is that it often stuns enemies, so that's huge damage mitigation. Speaking of powers, let me look at this. Raging Brawler asked, why the heck did I only 1 slot total focus with recharge? Well, it's not on purpose, right? It's that I don't have any more slots yet. Eventually, it will be 6 slotted. Why didn't I put accuracy and damage on it? It will. I will. I am going to put an endurance reducer on it, and its base accuracy is 1.2, so I'll probably only put a single accuracy on it because it's already got a base of 1.2, and that single accuracy will bring it up to like 1 point whatever 5. So that should be enough. And then we'll put triple damages on it, probably. But to make sure I'm not being attacked. But I hadn't had time yet, right? I was trying to get Rise to the Challenge 6 slotted. I wanted to get my health and stamina. I always do that early. Why? Because if you've got stamina slotted early along with quick recovery, that's the end of your endurance problems, right? I also wanted to make sure that these powers had double accuracy enhancements. Why? Because we're on +1 and +2 enemies. And we're going to miss the +2s if we don't have these things slotted. So, why did they get all the slots early? Because I couldn't pick these powers until later. And since I'd already started working on them, I wanted to continue working them. I also want to get 3 more slots in high pain tolerance because it can add regeneration, and you can upgrade it. And I want it, or not a regeneration, total max hit points. Yeah, we want to upgrade that. We want to add another 100. I can't put this. I only get a couple slots every other level. I can't put them everywhere at once. I use Whirling Hands a lot for AoE, so I wanted that thing slotted, and it also cost quite a bit of endurance, and I wanted to it also recharged slowly, and I wanted to up the recharge rate. We're not doing endurance on this one. Then these guys, I wanted to get the endurance and the accuracy on them. So maybe this isn't the order in which you would have slotted stuff, but relax, it's fine. We will get Total Focus 6 slotted eventually. Alright, so that is why I only did the 1 slot. It's the base slot that it gets. It will get more slots eventually, but in 34... So my plan is at 34 to add another slot to each of these. And it's quite possible I might put a slot on high pain tolerance and start putting the heals in. I like to do even slotting. I don't like to just do all the primaries and then do all the secondaries and then do all the pools. I don't do it that way. I slot things evenly, and I have a way of doing this, guys. And it's the way I like to do it. Now, it may not be how you would do it, but I'll get there eventually, and eventually everything will be slotted. But it's going to take a while, right? One of the advantages I have over other people is I don't care about the epic pools, and I'm not worrying about them being slotted. So yeah, I mean, I'll get. I don't even know what epic pool power I'm going to get. I don't need the one that leads us into conserve energy because our endurance is okay since we have 2 endurance recovery powers in our pool and secondary. So I probably don't need to worry about conserve energy or whatever it is that's called. And I can try something else. I'm not sure what other pools are going to be available to me. I'll just have to see. I'm not planning that out. I don't give a darn about the epic pool powers. I want my primaries and secondaries to be fully slotted and taken care of. And that's what comes first. Right? So we'll have enough slots for that. It'll be fine. It'll get 6 slotted eventually. I just can't do them all at once because I don't have enough slots. Right? It's not like I can go buy more slots. I can't. You have to wait. These guys are the most annoying ones with the earthquake. Let's see if we can stun them a little bit. The other thing is, and I pointed this out in the comment, total focus and energy transfer, or whatever it's called there. I think I might have called it energy drain in the comments. Yeah, I'm never going to learn the names of these powers because they don't make any sense to me. Like, this energy drain is a punch, so why is it called energy drain? Right? And power crash is an AoE punch, so why is it called power crash? Don't know. So I'm probably never going to remember the names of those powers. I know what they do. Anyway, as I said in the comment, where I replied to Raging Brawler, I guess, that Total Focus already can basically one-shot a minion, and Total Focus and Energy Transfer together can two-shot a Lieutenant, as I just did. So, I don't see the need to rush to 6-slotting Total Focus when it's already doing pretty well. Man, I over-aggroed here. Yeah, I hate these two spawns in these little diamond corridor areas because you almost can't single aggro them unless you want to do really cautious pulling. And at this level, I hate to do that. Our Fury's up nice and high at least. So today we're looking for Edgar Torvald. And he's not here because that's a dead end. So let's move on to this area. Then the other question, the other comment that I wanted to talk about, and again, I wrote an answer in the comments, but I do want to talk about it a little bit because I think it's actually relevant for this game as well as other games. I talked about how I gave up on both Pillars of Eternity and Pathfinder Kingmaker. And I guess the implication of what I was saying is that they're too hard. Now, you guys know that I like a challenge. I think too hard is the wrong word, the wrong term. My problem is with them is, and there are some things, by the way, in COH that are like this. They're hard in the wrong way to be fun for me. And that's just a simple reality. I don't like the way they're hard, and I don't enjoy it. There's all sorts of ways of being difficult. I talked about this. I argued about this endlessly with Jack Emmert, a.k.a. Statesman, on the City of Heroes forums, right? When I complained that some of the ways they chose to make City of Heroes quote-unquote challenging or difficult were things that annoy players. And I tried to explain to him that being annoyed is never fun, and you shouldn't use annoyance or frustration as the plan for how you're going to make the game harder. Now, Emmerit's argument was that for a lot of players, anything hard is frustrating, and I said, yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about. I find certain things very frustrating and annoying, and when I'm experiencing them, I'm not having any fun. I'm not going to want to play, right? So I found a lot of frustration in both of those games, and that the things that they were doing that made the game challenging or were designed to challenge you, I didn't find fun. Now, what Aaron Tier Darkhand, I think, who was the person who made the comment, said is that, oh, well, it's not that hard. You don't need a perfect party or anything like that. Maybe you don't. And a lot of that, though, depends on, play style and stuff like that. But that's kind of what I experienced, and to some degree what I was told as well. On the Steam forums, I think it was, when I was playing Pillars of Eternity, I commented about some of my frustrations, and of course, the answer was learn to play, noob. But nobody actually said, oh, you're wrong. Okay. By the way, one of the things I hated about Pillars of Eternity is that your line of sight would go to about the door here, and you literally couldn't see anything beyond that. It was so bad. It was, let's see if I can show you. So let's just go right here and land. If you're in an open area in Pillars of Eternity, my guess would be this is about as far as you could see. Now, why in daylight can I only see that far in an open area? It was just ridiculous to me, and that to me made it artificially hard for no reason and in the wrong way. Right? It made it incredibly unrealistic that my characters could only see 30 feet in daylight. I'm not talking about in a dungeon with a torch. That's a standard torch illumination radius is 30 feet. It's pretty common, 20 or 30 feet, depending on the game, right? Oh, these guys are in Founders Falls. I thought so. But this was in broad daylight in the open in a grassland. And you couldn't see more than 30 or 40 feet. And that's ridiculous. And I think I even tested it to prove to myself that it was 30 feet by using a torch underground. And basically you couldn't see any further outside in broad daylight than you could see underground with a torch in a dungeon. I thought that was ridiculous. And it was meant to be challenging in the sense that, oh, it's hard because you can't see what's coming. But to me, that's the wrong way to be challenging. That is something that just irritated me. But that wasn't the thing that made me quit the game, right? What made me quit the game was that I came up to some sort of a battle at the end of one of the chapters. It was fairly early on. I think I was 5th, 6th, 7th level, something like that. And I went in and asked, am I supposed to be higher level? What's the story? And what they said was, no, what you're supposed to do is, use trial and error until you figure out how to win with your combo of characters. Right? So, yeah, it's probably true that you don't need a perfect whatever trinity of characters or the exact build to win the game, win that battle. But whatever your build is, the fundamental premise of the game, as the people who were players of the game and had finished the game seem to indicate on Steam, is that in the tough battles you're supposed to do multiple iterations until you figure out by trial and error how to win with your party. Okay? That is not a style of gameplay that I like. I do not like having to fight the same battle over and over again and lose over and over again until I figure out how to win. Right? I would rather something more like City of Heroes, right? Where I figure out a winning tactic and then it's good for all time zones, or whatever you want to call it. Not that I want it to be easy, but I don't want to have to figure out every single battle like it's some sort of a chess match. And, the only time I ever enjoyed doing that was in Divinity, and I feel like Divinity was a much better game than Pillars of Eternity. And one of the things I liked about Divinity was you could play co-op, and so it was fun to do the puzzle solving with my friend, but it wasn't a lot of fun to do it alone. So it was challenging in a way that I didn't find enjoyable, and after realizing that this is going to be something, based on the conversations I was having on Steam with people who had played the whole game, this game, it's not just this chapter, it's going to be like this throughout the entire game. All of the difficult battles, boss battles, whatever, are going to be ones where you're going to die repeatedly until you figure them out. I don't like fighting the same battle over and over again like that. It just doesn't interest me. It feels monotonous, and so, yeah, I quit. Now with Pathfinder Kingmaker, I have no idea how it gets in the higher levels. But again, I know that I struggled with a couple of the battles in one of the chapters. I don't know, it was again around 6th or 7th level, and there was some battle that I struggled with, and I had to basically look up how to win the fight. Right? And pretty much what I had to do was use every potion and scroll that I had collected up to that point to win that fight, because I hadn't picked the quote-unquote correct party members to come with me that make it easier, and I hadn't spec'd out the party members that I did have in quote-unquote the right way to make it easier. And so to compensate for that, I had to use a bunch of potions and everything. And so again, this felt like it was almost like a gatekeeping thing, right? Where I hate to use that word, but it's sort of like a lock and key, right? And the correct key is to have this set of characters. And I didn't want to have those characters. My main character was a monk, and as a result, I can't remember which one of the characters that I think was a melee character that sort of made this particular battle much more winnable, and I didn't have that character because I had the monk instead, right? My character, my monk, and I kind of was trying to do a, shall we say, a Way of the Sun Soul monk in Pathfinder, and so I was doing kind of a non-standard build with this monk. And, it worked okay, but I think that it wasn't min-maxed or optimized, and because it was a monk, right, it couldn't really tank. So we had basically one of my melee slots was taken up with a very offensive scrapper rather than a brute or a tanker, shall we say, to use COH terms. And that really harmed my ability to absorb damage and stand in there and take it. Right? The monk kept getting flattened because she just, even though she had decent AC for a monk, she didn't have fighter AC with armor, and that's kind of what you need in the tough battles. And so I I struggled with that, but I think that would have been okay. What really drove me nuts was the kingdom management, and I found that very disappointing because under normal circumstances, that's something I really like and would look forward to, and I just didn't like the way they ran it, right? And I know you can put it on auto and just let it run itself, but by the time I figured that out and realized that I had pretty much blown it for the kingdom management, I hadn't done, I guess, what the game expects you to do, and I was way behind on running and developing my kingdom. By the time I realized that, I was so far along, I had no desire to start over, and I was pretty sure that if I just started having the game auto run my kingdom at that point, it was too late. And I'm not the only one who's felt that way. There was somebody making a long, very heartfelt post on the Steam forums. I found it because I was actually Googling this because I was starting to get frustrated about the kingdom management. And he said that he got, into whichever chapter, I don't know, 3, whatever it was. He got a big chunk of the way through the game. And then realized he had completely hosed himself on kingdom management. And he had to go back to, like, right after you get the kingdom and start over, now that he knows what he's doing. Right? And one of the things that I felt was completely true of Pathfinder Kingmaker is they did not provide enough help and documentation for me to feel like I had any idea what the heck I was doing with kingdom management. And the other thing that I found frustrating was there were certain aspects to kingdom management that they kind of hinted that you should do, but I didn't have an advisor that was capable of doing it. And I don't know when that advisor was going to show up, but I found that very frustrating as well, right? Because it's sort of telling you should be doing X, and like, well, I can't because I don't have an advisor that's capable of that. So I found the whole thing very frustrating and not fun. And at that point, I was like, okay, I'm not interested. It's too big of a part of the game, and I dislike it too much. And that's all she wrote, and then I stopped playing it. Yeah, I don't have the time to play a lot of games because I have other stuff that I'm doing. I do not have the desire to tough out, like sort of grit my way through a game that's not that great. My best friend does this. He'll admit that the game is only mediocre, but he will grit his way through 60 hours of play to finish it, whatever the game is. I am not going to do that. There's the librarian. Not going to do that. Not when there's City of Heroes to play. I'd rather just play this game. Right? Why would I play a game that's when I've got a game that I absolutely love right here? Watch him fall off of this thing. Excuse me. So yeah, there's too much fun stuff. I don't record it anymore because nobody seemed to want to watch the videos, and I never got any comments, so I quit recording it. But I really like AO Tennis 2. I haven't played it in a while because I've been doing a lot of City of Heroes and other stuff. But I'm thinking of getting back to it. I'm going to have to start a character over again because I'm so out of practice that I can't go back to the pro level that I stopped on with my character at, like, I don't know, level 30 or something. I'm going to have to go back and start over again. But yeah, I'm probably going to do that and play some of that. I mean, I enjoy that too. Why would I play a game that I'm not enjoying? I played some Starfield for a while. I liked it at first, and then I decided, you know what? It was getting very kind of monotonous, and I felt like, I don't know, the way the character was progressing was not making the play more interesting. I don't know how to describe it. It's one of my bigger disappointments in the last couple of years because I saw Starfield advertised from a video from some gamer convention a couple of years ago, and I got so amped about it and thought this looks like a great game. And well, I didn't love the story, such as I got through it, and I don't know. It just didn't capture me. It didn't. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I love City of Heroes, right? So why am I gonna play a game that's not terrible but not great, when I have a game that's great right here to play? And it's a game that people enjoy watching me play, I guess, and I'm getting some interaction and feedback from the group, which I'm not going to get from Starfield because playing it might, it's a story, much more story-based game. Those are really hard to do Let's Plays with, in my opinion, at least for me. So, um, so yeah, I'm not going to grit my way through a game. It's either going to be awesome or I'm not going to play it. It's just like books now. Novels and stuff. If I start reading a novel and I get stuck in it because I'm not enjoying it, it's gone. I'm not going to fight my way through it just to finish. My best friend read the entire Wheel of Time series. He agreed with me that book 6 was not that great, and book 7 had a lot of problems, right? I stopped reading it after that. I've read 7 books. The last 2 were not good. The first 5 were excellent. And then 6 and 7, Rob, whoa. Is this an ambush? Oh, it is. Okay, so I just want to stay away from the Devouring Earth. Get over here. I just don't want to get caught. There's purple Devouring Earth around here, so I don't want to get caught fighting them. So anyway, with the Wheel of Time, I read the first like 50 pages or something of book 8. I'm like, this guy's just introducing more stuff and not tying anything up. And I hate that. Kudzu plots where they just keep adding and adding and adding just to make it longer, and it's not adding anything to the story, it's just adding more crap. Same thing happened to me with The Feast of Crows, which is the 4th book of Game of Thrones. Now, I didn't, Song of Ice and Fire, I already didn't really like that series, right? I read the first book, and I said to my best friend, who was the one bugging me to read it because he loved it, I said, it was I don't think I want to read the rest of the series. He said, oh, read whatever the second book is. Read that one. That's even better. So I'm like, all right, I read that one. Like, hey, I didn't like that one either. Well, read the third one. It gets even better. No, I didn't like any of them. Tried Feast of Crows. I don't think he told me that one was better. I got about 3 or 4 chapters, 5, 6 chapters into it. It was adding all these new characters that I wasn't interested in, and I just said, I'm done. Too many characters. I do not like books with like 15 different point of view characters. I like, it doesn't have to be one. It doesn't have to be a single narrator, but I like a reduced number. 3 or 4 main characters is enough. One of the reasons I like Brandon Sanderson's books is his books tend to only have like maybe 3 or 4. I don't know what Way of Kings is like. I've only so far read the Mistborn series and Elantris, but those books are a lot more enjoyable to me because they don't have all these crazy rosters of characters where you have to have a dramatis personae. Where is she? Yeah, she's right here. I didn't realize with this PC surrounding her. Yeah, have a dramatis personae at the end of the book just to keep track. I that's just not. I don't like it. Right. So doesn't mean other people can't like it. Enjoy it if you want, but my best friend would admit that both Game of Thrones and Wheel of Time got bad in the last couple of books. They weren't as good, right? And that he had stopped really enjoying them as much. Now, I don't think he hates them, but he wasn't enjoying them as much. And that it was a real slog to get through some of this stuff. And yet he fought his way through because he just had to finish. Like, I can't imagine reading 6 or 7 books that I don't like that much just to finish. Nope. I don't do that anymore. I used to, years ago. I forced myself to read books like that I didn't like. The Dragonbone Chair was one. By the 100th page, 150, I knew I didn't like this book, but I stuck with it until I finished. Meanwhile, it took me like 8 months to read because every time I picked it up, I had to force myself to read 10 or 15 pages, and then I'd be like, ugh, and put it down. And I wasn't allowing myself to read other books because I was like, I gotta finish this one. And in the end, I hated it. I never read the subsequent books. And it was a waste of my time. I should have put the thing down at 200 pages, not read the last 800 or however many, and read something actually that I liked, right? Something that I felt was actually good. That's what I do now. There's this book, oh gosh, what was it called? Sandstorm or something. It's it's about some sort of a delta type force. I think it's called Sigma Force or something. A really good friend of mine, when I was still using Goodreads, which I've stopped using because of their terrible website. But when I was still using Goodreads, he and I are friends on Goodreads, and I was um, looking at what he was reading, and oh, well, he likes this series. He was reading like the 10th book or 15th book or whatever in the series. Like, I love a good long series. I love something I can sink my teeth into. I'll go ahead and try reading the first book. And now it may be that the later books got better. This often happens. Oh shoot, I came in here without any yellows. That's gonna be rough. Um, and so, oh, there's a yellow. Excellent. So I got the first book. I read, I don't know, less than 100 pages. I said, this is not for me. It's done. Mark did not finish. I'm finished. I'm not, like, not finished, but I marked did not finish, and I'm out. I'm not going to fight my way through the book. Right? It's just not interesting to me. I went and got a Louis L'Amour book and read that instead. I love Louis L'Amour, and I blew right through it. All right, so I don't do that anymore. If I don't want to pick a book up for a long enough time, what I'll do is I'll put it down and read another book, and then try to go back to it. Then I'll put it down maybe one more time and read another book and try to go back to it. And if after 2 or 3 attempts I can't get into it, it's done. I'm not going to continue reading it. There's no point, right? Why make yourself miserable? And the same thing is true with video games, right? If I'm not enjoying a video game and I feel like, man, I'd rather play City of Heroes than this game, then I'm going to fire up City of Heroes and play City of Heroes. So right now, what has to happen is if a new video game comes along that I might want to play, it's going to have to beat City of Heroes, American Truck Simulator, and AO Tennis 2, which are the current games that I'm enjoying the most, right? And so, yeah, it's going to have to be better than those. And if it's not, I'm not going to play it, right? Because, like, I don't have time. I've pretty much only been playing City of Heroes since January. It's now March, so for about 2 months. Why? Because I don't have time to play these other games. I have other things I'm doing. I'm trying to get back into fiction writing. I just wrote, was it 5 pages of the first short story I've now written in, like, maybe ever. And the first fiction I've written in years. I think the last time I wrote some fiction was like 2017 or 18. Maybe earlier than that. Oh boy, I over-aggroed here. Let's get some defense going. Man, I over-aggroed. It's one of these diamond sections again. So yeah, life is too short. I've got things to do. I'm going to read the books that I enjoy. I'm going to play the games that I enjoy. I only have a few hours to do each thing, right? Today I actually spent, I think it was about an hour after dinner, writing about 5 pages of this short story, handwritten. I'm loving it. I've got a fountain pen with brown. It's really cool chocolate brown ink from Diamine, and it's a, what's the name of it? A Lamy Studio fountain pen. Cost me about $70 with a medium nib, and I'm using, what is it, Apica, an Apica journal or notebook. We're 34th level now, so it'll make this mission easier. Which is really nice fountain pen paper, and I'm I've got terrible penmanship, but I'm trying to get better and get back to handwriting. I used to have nice writing, and I haven't. I stopped handwriting when I got into Word and everything in the 90s and started doing all my first drafts on the computer. And now I'm back to doing my first drafts by handwriting. I'm having a blast doing that. I actually like writing better by hand, at least for the initial draft. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to type it up, but the thing is, I don't actually like typing, right? I do it, I'm quick at it, I'm good at it, but I do it as a utilitarian thing, right? I type because I have to, because it's the easiest way to do X, but I don't type because I enjoy it or I find it pleasurable the way I find handwriting. And I didn't find handwriting all that pleasurable with a ballpoint pen. Roller balls are better, but I found that, I don't know why I started with a fountain pen. Somebody said, oh, when I write, I use a fountain pen. It's a much more pleasurable experience. And I remembered that I had liked using a fountain pen when I was in college, which I did for, I think, like 1 year. I think it was junior year, maybe senior year, maybe. And I think I stopped just because I ran out of ink, and I was no longer in college and didn't have the university bookstore to buy ink, and I guess I didn't know where else to buy it, and Amazon didn't exist yet, or other online, ordering stuff online just didn't exist yet. And so, yeah, so I got a fountain pen. I've got several fountain pens actually now, a bunch of different inks. I'm having an absolute blast physically writing with them, and I'm doing that with a lot of my spare time. So I only have time to play video games for an hour or so a day. Any more than that is going to take away from my writing time, and I also want to do that. I've also been journaling, and I do a little bit in the morning, and like morning pages they're called, and a little bit in the evening. Here's the kidnapper. These guys are just minions. And so I'm doing journaling, and I'm also reading some nonfiction and taking some notes in another notebook with fountain pens. And yeah, there's stuff I'm doing, and then I'm GMing 2 different games, one Play by Post and one Deadlands. I got to prep my Deadlands game for next week because we're having a session. So yeah, I've got a lot to do, and I only have an hour or so a day to play video games. So I'm going to play the ones that I like. And I have a lot to do, and I only have an hour or two a day to read, if that. I usually read. It's getting close to bedtime now, so what I'm going to probably do, how long have we been going? We've been going 37 minutes, so we'll stop here and in a minute, and then I'm going to probably shut everything down and get into bed, and before I fall asleep, read a couple chapters of the last Mistborn book. I've got maybe 200 pages to go, and I'll be done. And in the morning when I wake up, I also read a couple chapters if I wake up early enough, which I usually do, before getting ready for work. And then I will read some in the middle of the day if I have time, but at least I get, a half hour, 45 minutes in the morning and a half hour, 45 minutes at night to read, right? So I'm dividing up my time. Time is the most valuable commodity, and I'm using it on the things that I enjoy. I'm not going to waste it on something I don't enjoy, a book I don't like to read, or an activity I don't like to do, or a game I don't like to play. I mean, that's just me. Some people really are completionists. My best friend is, I used to call him an obsessive completionist, right? I think I mentioned this. I said on the Neverwinter Nights forums, where do I want to go here? I want to go to the base. I said on the Neverwinter Nights forums that, where's the base portal? I thought it was around here. Oh, it's over there. I said on the Neverwinter Nights forums years and years ago that my best friend was OCD. And they said, you shouldn't say that. That's like an actual diagnosis. People use it, abuse that, misuse it. He's not OCD, right? Just because he wants to search every little nook and cranny of the map. That's not OCD. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to call him an obsessive completionist. He obsessively has to complete every single part of every level of every dungeon, even though we've already finished the quest and we could go back to town, right? Being an obsessive completionist, right, he also has to finish every book series he starts, even if it turns out not to be that great, I'm not going to do that. Right? There are only so many minutes. Whoops, I didn't want to hit that one. I wanted this one. Let's go ahead and get an extra one of these, and then some luck. There we go. There's only so many hours in a day, and I'm gonna use them to the best I can on the good stuff, and not stuff that I only kind of like. There's too much stuff that I love that I don't want to waste my time on something that's only eh. So anyway, that's where we're gonna stop. I'm gonna head to Ouroboros because I'm working on the day badge for that. And we have to spend another 68 or so hours logged off in Ouroboros. I'm going to log off for tonight, and it'll be probably about 18 hours before I get in tomorrow, so that will give us a big chunk of it. We're going to keep going on this storyline of the Library of Lost Souls. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes. Oh, wait. No. We have to level up, don't we? Let's do it. Where's Infernal? There he is. Okay. This is one of my favorite spots, William Square. Somebody attacked me. Train up to a new level of power. And there we go. So, we're going to do... one of each of these, and yeah, we'll go ahead and grab. So it's going to be 2 damages and a health. Do we have the recipes for that? We have 1 damage, no health. So we can throw a damage in there. We'll leave those bare until we get to level 37 or we find the appropriate invention enhancements just from adventuring. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll stop. Now you can buy these, but I don't bother with that. I usually just slot in the ones that I find. Usually find enough of them. The only ones I buy are endurance recovery because you never seem to find those. So let's see. Can we go ahead and do this one? Let's craft it. What is this one? Titanium coating. This is resist damage. What do the sets say? Negative energy and energy resistance. Okay. And Mez. Maximum health increase. Lethal and smashing resistance by 3%. That's not bad. Improve regeneration by 10%. That's nice. And melee defense and lethal and smashing defense. Those aren't that great. But hey, these aren't bad. And we've got 2 of them, but they're only level 25. I think we don't want that. We'll probably get rid of that. Red Fortune is level 34. That's for defense sets. And then Miracle. Ooh. It's only level 31, though. Well, it's a 35% improvement. Gosh, let's take a look here. We can't put that... we can't 6-slot this, though, for healing. Right, because we need the resistance in here. So, we're going to 6-slot it, but we got to put the single heals in there. We could possibly 6-slot this one, Rise to the Challenge, and put Miracle in there. Although we might want to put 2 hit debuff in there. So we probably want to 6-slot that and put 2 hit debuff. So I'm trying to think about where we would put Miracle. The only way to do it would probably be put it on fast healing and 6-slot this one. But that's not going to be a priority for me. Right? 35 we're going to get hasten. We don't need the level 35 power in this set. We'll leave the final power for 38. We're going to follow the way the game was originally designed. 36 we're going to finish Barrage and Energy Punch and probably add another one to High Pain Tolerance. And then 37 we'll finish High Pain Tolerance and add Total Focus and probably Energy Transfer or Power Crash. And then we'll start building on those. And then level 38 will get this power here. And then 39 will probably do a couple of slots in here and maybe do the finish up Rise of the Challenge, because I want to do those 2 hit debuffs too. Well, I'll just have to see how it goes, guys. It's going to be, this is a very slot heavy character. One of the issues with this one is we really kind of needed all 9 of these primaries because they feed off of each other. We couldn't skip any realistically. And other than 3 slotting build-up and 1 slotting taunt, which would be true for any power set, we need them all. One of the nice things about martial arts is I didn't need crippling axe kick, so you could imagine one of these powers not being here, and that's 6 slots you don't need, and I was able to put those on the defenses. We're not necessarily going to be able to do that with this character, so we'll just have to see how it goes. Anyway, we'll stop there, and until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.